So we're working and combining cooters and cars within a flat list. So think of a flat list as well. It's flat, it's simple, there's no sub-list within it. And you're going to see different forms of this, but we can combine them. So you see, we can do the long way of a car, of a cutter, of a literal list. It'll equal the same thing if we actually combine all the letters. Now we have to be careful. In some versions or some flavors of Scheme, I'm actually limited to the number of characters between the C and the R. I believe it's 4 at the one that we use for GSI, but double check. So as you know, each node is going to have a link to another node except for the very last one like we have there in F. It does it in a straight linear line, just you would think. But here's the interesting part. If I did do CADDR, it looks like that appears to be going reverse. It travels D first, then the second D, and then A, and I'll prove that here in a moment. But be careful on exactly how that's done in your coding. So for a simple example, if we did the car of a literal list, we're just getting the first element, that's it with the A, then it will return the A portion. And if we did the CDR, it's going to return, starting with the current being at A, and then we'll return the rest of the list that's after A, and that's why we get our B, C, D, E, and F. So we'll go to a more complicated one here in a second. So how do these work out if we get a little bit more complicated? So in the first one, we have our card, C-A-R-D, pretty close, of our literal list here. So I want you to think about it using the graph that I have for you, where we have our current position, and then we move on from there. So first we're going to do the D portion, which means you get the rest of the list first, and then I do the A. And what's the first element in the rest of that list? Well, it's going to be B. So how about CDDR? Well, in this one, again, we're going to do D, so that moves us into the rest of the list. Then we're going to have another D, which would pop up right about there. And then, well, what is that? And notice that's going to be the CDDEF. Now, also be careful, is that if you notice I don't have any A's in there at all, it's most likely going to return to you a list instead of just one atom. So notice in the examples with the CADR and CADDR, notice they're returning an atom. Whereas where we have CDs and they're just Ds, they're going to return a list. And by the way, an empty list is a legit option, so just a heads up on that as well. So I'm hoping that I would highly suggest you try to draw out the last two. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it right now. So I'm going to do a D, moves me to B, D, moves me to B, and A, it'll get me C. Instead of, notice this one gave me the list of everything behind it. I want the atom, so it's going to give me one element. And then if I did CDDR, you're going to see the D's pop up here, so I should just end up with the D, E, and F. And again, I'm not asking for an atom, I'm asking for the list. So that's how it works out with our cars and cooters.